welcome to another edition of Truth Seekers. Welcome to all my viewers. Excuse me. Now, this right here will probably be one of the most important videos that I have done thus far. The reason why I say that is because this video is talking about prison. Why we need to stay out of jail, especially my young black brothers and sisters. We need to stay out of jail. Parents, we need to teach our children to stay out of jail. Jail is no place for a black man or a black woman. It is exactly where they want you to be. That is why in my clip that I created, that I showed us just before the video, there's a picture of Uncle Sam pointing his finger saying, I want you in jail. Because that is where he wants you. That is where they want you. In jail. In jail. Yes. Prison system is big money, and it has been making these states, these cities, big money since the ending of the Civil War, going back to as far as 1865. Okay, I'm going to show some clips. I'm going to show a clip in a little while, and it's going to explain a lot of that to you. It is a clip from Slavery by Another Name. Okay, and it will show you a lot of raw footage, and you will hear from a couple of historians, and you will get a better view of just what I am saying to you. Alright, so anyway, yes, I need to send this message out to my young people especially, because it is you, my young people, my people in general. We going in and out of jails, like jails have revolving doors, like department stores. We going in and out of jail as if jail is a second home. It has become a second home for far too many of my people, young people, okay? It has become, I don't know, what are you thinking it is? It's not a vacation home. It is not a vacation cottage in the Catskills, okay? It is not a free membership to a gym, alright? You know, I know the terminology, 3 hots in the cot. You understand what I'm saying? I hear it. I've heard it. I've been hearing it for years. And many of you know the terminology, 3 hots in the cot. I hear a lot of the people, you know, especially the young people, you know, that has been in and out of jail, that has been to jail, locked up. 3 hots in the cot. You know, so many of our people, you know, their people, your people are in jail. So you're looking forward. It's nothing to you because you're looking at it as, well, you know, a couple of my peoples is in jail, so I'm going to be alright. You understand what I'm saying? And that's how you're viewing it, as you're going to be alright. Okay? So many of people, so many of us, we are already preparations for us to come to jail is already being made by our people on the inside. Okay? If you had a certain status on the streets, such as a big baller, shot caller, whatever have you, you know, you was a boss, something like that. You know what I mean? When you get to prison, you know, it's like, welcome home, you know, big celebration, you know what I mean? They rolled out the red carpet for you. You know, you get all these extra amenities and things of that nature. So it's like nothing to you to go to jail. It's nothing to you to go to prison. But my message to you is this. Prison is just another form of slavery. Yes. Okay, like I said, back in 1865, after the Civil War, when this country was bereft of funds, the South mainly was bereft of funds. You know, the Civil War left them bereft of funds, and the Yankees had ravished all of their crops, all of their cotton gins. Basically, they needed a new way that they could get free labor. They needed a new way where they could rebuild this nation, this country again. You understand what I'm saying? They needed a new way to rebuild the South. But it was spread from the South on up throughout all the states over time. So now it is everywhere, not just the South. It is everywhere. Prison is big business, big money business everywhere. You understand what I'm saying to you? Industries, corporations, stockbrokers, investors, they put big money into the prison system. For what? For free labor. Industries pay nickels and pennies on the dollar to get groups of prisoners to come and do their labor for them. Okay? Railroads being built, chain gang, alright? Bridges being put up, ditches being dug, minding, working in mines. Wherever they need the labor, they get the prisoners to do it for them. Yes, it is in the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment states that no one can be forced into slavery or servitude unless they have been convicted of a crime thereof, in that jurisdiction thereof. Okay? Basically, yes, you can become a slave if you have been convicted of a crime. So when you are convicted of a crime and you are put into jail, put into prison, you become a slave yet again. Okay, that goes for black or any other race or group of people. It's in your amendment. Okay, they've covered all their tracks. They've dotted all their I's. They've crossed all their T's. This is what I'm constantly saying to you, my brothers and my sisters, especially my young people. Especially my young people. I'm constantly trying to get you to understand the importance of reading. Why reading is fundamental. Because the law is something that they assume you know. It is your right. It is your duty as a citizen of this jurisdiction, of this corporation, this nation, to know the law. Okay? So when you go out here and you break the law, it is of no one's fault that you are thrown in jail. You broke the law. You didn't know the law. You should have known the law. Why didn't you know the law? Well, to begin with, as I said in another one of my videos, they don't teach it to us in school. This is part of the reason why they don't teach it to us in school. This is part of the reason why they breeze right through the amendments. They breeze right through it. They don't go into depth with the amendments, okay? One of the main parts that you will probably only ever hear them talk about in the school system, as far as the 14th Amendment is concerned, is that it abolished slavery. And then the 15th Amendment came sometime afterwards, and it abolished slavery and the export and transport of slaves throughout all of the states. Okay? But what they do not and will not point out to you is that the 14th Amendment also stipulates that you must be, in order to be, if you are a citizen, or in order to be recognized, once you are recognized as a citizen, you are a jurisdiction. You have become a subject to the jurisdiction, okay, of the United States, to the jurisdiction of the federal government, which in layman's terms is the United States. All right, let's just keep it plain, keep it truthful and simple, okay? But my message to you, my young brother, my young sister, is please stay out of jail. All you are doing is putting yourself back into slavery yet again. See, one thing I know and I feel very strongly about is the fact that not many of my brothers and sisters, not many people in general know that is what they are doing once they go to jail, once they go to prison. I believe that if you knew that to that depth, to that extent, what I have just explained it to you, that you would make it your business to not keep re-entering the jail system. Okay, to not keep going back in and out of jail if you knew that. Because one thing about young people that I hear, especially not just young people period. Let me not even just say just young people. People period. One thing I hear from a lot of people that live that life, I'm talking about that life of crime. You understand what I'm saying? That life of drugs, selling drugs, whatever have you. You know what I mean? That life of crime, that gang life, that street life, that thug life. You know what I mean? You can't be no thug. How tough can you really be when you are constantly allowing yourself to become someone's puppet, to become someone's dummy, to become someone's slave? How much of an authority figure can you really be when you are constantly putting yourself into these situations? You are. Okay, I know it's not easy out here. It is not designed to be easy for you, my brother and my sister. That is what I constantly say. There are no jobs. There are no jobs because most of the big businesses and the industries are hiring their cheap labor. Not even hiring, they are buying cheap labor. Prisoners from the prisons to do their labor, to do their work. Alright? This is another way that they found to get cheap labor. We can't get it for free. You understand what I'm saying? Abraham Lincoln did away with that with the Emancipation Proclamation back in 1863. Alright, he got rid of that for us. Messed that all up. We can't get no free labor no more. The Yankees came here after the Civil War and during the Civil War and ravished all our crops and everything. So now we need to find a way to get some cheap labor. Get somebody to come in here and rebuild our country. Rebuild the South. Rebuild everything for us. Do the labor that we don't want to do. Do the labor that we don't want to pay somebody to do. You think about mining, or think about a steel company that, let's say, deals with piping. How much money you figure it costs the average steel worker to make? How much you think the average steel worker makes in an hour? I'm going to say anywhere from $10 to $20 an hour you can make. Now, if I run this steel mill and I know that I can go to the local prison and get me about, let's say, 100 to 300 workers, prisoners, slaves for about, $1,000, wouldn't that save me a whole lot of money? So when you're trying to figure out why there's no jobs, that's part of the reason why there are no jobs. Because all of these industries and so many of these big companies and corporations, they are getting cheap labor from the prisons. That is why prison is big money. The brokers, the stockbrokers, the financiers, they all have their hand in this cookie jar. Wall Street, they put mega dollars into the prison system every year. Okay, the more prisoners, the more money. That is why the jails are overpopulated. That is why you see so many people constantly picketing, constantly rallying against the prison system, because it has been corrupt since then. I'm talking about hundreds of years now. I'm talking about decades now. What's the years that I just mentioned? 1863, 1865. The Declaration and all these things that were signed back in 1776. Okay? For a long time they've been getting a free ride off of the backs of mainly black people. How many free rides are we going to give them? Because every time you go in and out of prison, my young brother, my young sister, my people, you are giving them another free ride. You have become a slave all over again. but you tough. But you a thug. You about that life. You live that life. What life is it that you are trying to live? Because I don't get it. You understand? And everything I'm saying to you on all of these videos that I do, I'm not making this stuff up. I'm getting ready to show you a clip. Excuse me. Like I said, this is a clip from Slavery by Another Name. Because that's what it is. The prison system is slavery by another name. Okay, so I am saying and I am urging and urging and urging you, my young people, my people, stay out of jail. Don't you know what you are doing to yourself? Once you sign your name on that dotted line and you put your fingerprint impression on that paper, you enter into a contract with this corporation, with this country, this nation. Forget country. As I told you before, not a country, it's a corporation. You enter into a contract with them that says that you are now their slave. Slave. S-L-A-V-E. You are not a partner, okay? You are not considered an equal. You are a slave, which means that now they can do to you whatever they want to do to you. In many states and many prisons, the prisoners work long, hard, strenuous hours. Yes, I know it's prison. It's not supposed to be treated as a vacation. You're supposed to be being punished for a crime that you committed. Alright? So it's not supposed to be pleasant. But I mean, the conditions some of these prisoners are under is horrendous. The work that is expected for some of these prisoners to do is unsanitary, unsafe, unhealthy, and it has caused the death of many, many prisoners throughout many, many years. Okay, many prisoners come out of jail and they come down with these afflictions, these illnesses, all because of the labor they were expected to do while in this prison facility. So I am saying to you, my brother, my sister, my people, stay out of jail. It is another form of slavery. It is another form of slavery. Okay? And I think that if many of you understood just how in depth it is, you would maybe, I'm hoping that you would do your best to stay out of jail. I know it's not easy. I know it's not. But there are other ways for you to get those things that you desire, that you want. Okay, I understand when that baby's crying, that baby needs milk and you have no money. You need a way to get that milk, so you go in that grocery store and you just take a couple of things and you think it's nothing. It's something small and significant. People have gone to jail for years for things more minor than that. Okay? So, I say to you, my brother and my sister, stay out of jail. To my mothers out there, especially the single mothers, for those of you that are doing it by yourself, no daddy around, daddy done broke out, skipped town, whatever. Especially those of you that are raising boys, man-childs, black boys. Please teach your sons to, baby boy, jail ain't no place for you. Do whatever you want to do in this life. Pack bags if that's what you want to do. Be the best at it. You can do and you can achieve anything you want, okay, in life. But please stay out of prison. And to my fathers out there, get involved with your children, especially your sons, because these young men out here, these young brothers, they need you. They need you. And we need you to stay out of jail. So that is my message. But I got a clip coming up. I want y'all to check it out. It'll go deeper into detail than what I said. And then we're going to go online and we're going to check out another site that I want y'all to check out, which will go even deeper and explain even more, even in numbers. So that is my message on this edition. And I hope you will find it informative, you will share it, you will like it, and you will pass it on. That is the biggest part of what I do, to get you to pass it on. Okay? That is the only way it will work. each one teach one. So with that said, see you on the next side. Well, stay tuned. I say.
The former slaveholding world upside down.
The simple reality of people that they had once owned now were entitled to the same fruits of their labor, the same ability to look a white person in the eye, a man or a woman, and to demand equal respect, to be called by one's first and last names, challenged everything to the bitter core of white people's souls.
You have a group of people who are accustomed to have people serve them. Now, suddenly, these people are free. They own guns. You'd be as wary as hell. Because what you're worried is that people are going to take revenge. You also are worried that people aren't going to do any work anymore.
Most of the South's 8 million whites had not owned slaves. Poverty was widespread, and about a third of whites were illiterate.
Those individuals see blacks moving around, trying to get land, trying to improve themselves as competitors. They see a zero-sum game in which they're going to lose the more that blacks gain.
These whites aligned with leaders of the former Confederacy, aided by President Andrew Johnson, Lincoln's successor. They formed vigilante groups to attack and intimidate blacks. The violence grew widespread. In the spring of 1866, Congress intervened. Over the objections of the president, it launched an era known as Radical Reconstruction.
At the beginning of Reconstruction, there was a tremendous federal will to both bring the South into submission, but also to protect African American civil rights.
Passed in 1866, the 14th Amendment recognized the citizenship of all freed people. In 1870, the 15th Amendment was passed, which upheld the right of black men to vote.
Reconstruction was an attempt to create a country in which it would be possible to have a biracial and equal citizenship.
Reconstruction gave African Americans, for the first time across the South, the opportunity to serve on juries, to be witnesses in trial, to serve as judges. It also made possible an entire generation of black politicians across the South, almost as many as 1,500 serving through the end of the 19th century.
Reconstruction governments in many parts of the South succeeded in passing new social legislation, creating the South's first free public schools. But white resistance to biracial government in the South intensified, and national political support began to wane. By 1874, voters had shifted the balance of power in Congress, allowing for the South's return to local control.
There is no sustained federal presence in the South really after 1874. What they come away with is that a sense that this is a really violent situation and that there's not much we can do about it. And there's not much perhaps we even should do about it.
African Americans seeking freedom could count on less and less help from the federal government, less and less help from sympathetic Northerners, and they could count on more and more and more animosity and attack from Southern whites.
I grew up in a black part of Mississippi, and I went to schools that were 60, 75% black all through my childhood. That was in the 1970s. What I learned about the Emancipation Proclamation was the most simplistic version of it, that it brought an end to slavery. I also was taught, as most Americans were in some way, that the end of slavery unleashed this population of people who were ill-equipped for freedom. And that was all offered up in some respect as an explanation for the repressive things that were then done to African Americans, even the repressive things that I knew about. What I came to realize was that that fundamentally didn't happen.
With the end of Reconstruction, the nature of both crime and punishment in the South changed dramatically. In state after state and county after county, new laws targeted African Americans and effectively criminalized black life.
It was a crime in the South for a farm worker to walk beside a railroad. It was a crime in the South to speak loudly in the company of white women. It was a crime to sell the products of your farm after dark.
Anything from spitting or drinking or being found to be drunk in public or loitering in public spaces could result in confinement. So there was an over-exaggeration of African American criminality during this time period. It's not to absolve all prisoners from having committed crimes, but there were many trumped-up charges.
One of the most infamous set of laws to come out of this period were the pig laws, passed in Mississippi, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, enhancing penalties for what had been previously misdemeanor offenses to now felony offenses.
In Mississippi, theft of a pig worth as little as $1 could mean 5 years in prison. In Tennessee, hard labor might result from stealing an 8-cent fence rail.
But the most powerful, the most damaging of all of these laws were the vagrancy statutes. In every southern state, you became a criminal if you could not prove at any given moment that you were employed.
Under slavery, most black crime was punished by slaveholders, leaving the courts to discipline whites. Now, only about 10% of those arrested were white.
Now, what does this mean? Does this mean that white people are not committing crimes in the South? We know that's not true.
Southern states had a history of placing prisoners with industries that would bear the cost of guarding and housing them in exchange for their labor. Now states also began to charge fees, renting prisoners to companies by the month. The highest rates were for the strongest workers and longest sentences.
When you go to the 13th Amendment, one of the fascinating things about the text of that amendment is that it says that slavery is abolished, except in the case of a punishment for a crime. And within that wiggle room, what you see in it is that there's still the possibility of extending slavery, as it were, by another name.
Well, it's early in the morning, baby, when I rise.
The system was known as convict leasing.
When I rise, well, it's early in the morning.
It took time for the system of convict leasing to develop. It took time for the state to realize that prisoners, believe it or not, could be a source of profit. Once that revenue starts coming in, they're pleasantly surprised. This is new revenue we never had before.
Come on, boys.
The state of Alabama earned $14,000 in its first year of convict leasing, 1874. By 1890, revenue was $164,000, roughly.
Pause it right there, just so I can say this to you. As you can see, this is why the prison system, they want you in jail. They need you in jail. I'm playing this because I need you, my black brothers and my black sisters, especially my young brothers and my young sisters, to understand that it is all part of the plan. They even put it in the 13th Amendment. So you keep going in and out of jail, you keep committing these crimes and doing all these things. This is exactly what they want you to do. They need you in jail. They want you in jail. This is why they don't fight so hard for so many black people when we get locked up and thrown in jail and wrongly accused. Because they want you in jail. They need you in jail. They need us in jail because we are money. And this is not even just for black people. It's just that we as black people are the majority of people that are being thrown in jail because we're not the ones being given a fair trial in most cases. They need someone to do the labor for them. So let's keep playing for a little while. And then I'm going to end this one, and we'll go into the next part.
$4.1 million today. By then, states throughout the South and hundreds of counties and cities were engaged in some form of leasing convicts to private industry.
And it gave tremendous discretionary power for the private owner, either a landowner or a corporation or a coal mine, could be any business concern, to do what they wanted with that African American.
We as convicts is something like a man drowning. We have been convicted of felonies, and because of that, we have lost every friend on earth.
In 1884, a series of remarkable letters was sent from the Pratt coal mines to Alabama's new inspector of prisons. Their author was Ezekiel Archie, now a 25-year-old convict.
All these years of how we suffered, we have looked death in the face, worked hungry, thirsty, half-clothed, and sore.
Archie was one of hundreds of convicts now being worked in a growing network of mines and factories around Alabama's new industrial center, Birmingham. Founded in 1871 and fed by intersecting railway lines, Birmingham was poised to exploit Alabama's rich underground deposits of coal, limestone, and iron ore, the ingredients of steel. This was the new industrial South, envisioned just prior to the Civil War by slaveholder John T. Milner.
John T. Milner was a brilliant engineer, extraordinary businessman. He was also a supreme racist and a despotic person.
Negro labor can be made exceedingly profitable in manufacturing iron and in rolling mills, provided there is an overseer, a Southern man who knows how to manage Negroes.
He laid out some of the first railroad lines that would run across Alabama. In many respects, he was the father of Southern industrialization, particularly in the deep, deep South.
Milner's vision triggered decades of rapid industrial growth. After emancipation, industrialists replaced slaves with convicts, acquiring thousands from state and county governments.
You can't drive free labor the same way that you can force prisoners to mine 5 tons of coal a day. And this is why people like Milner wanted prisoners in his coal mines. He saw them as a great source of profit, and he didn't have to worry about labor disputes.
We would leave the cells around 3 o'clock a.m. and return at 8 o'clock p.m., going the distance of 3 miles through rain or snow.
To describe the conditions in a coal mine at this time, to say that they're primitive is, you can't even imagine it.
This is a place where for weeks or months at a time, men might never see daylight. The mine was often filled with standing water around their ankles and their feet. They had to drink from that water. Disease ran rampant through these mines.
They were incredibly dangerous places to work, being subjected to violent explosions. poisonous gases that were released as coal fell from the walls. In addition to the falling coal itself,
Whippings, keeping people chained up, brutal kinds of physical torture, and mental abuse are the norm. A lot of the things that kept people in control under slavery are amplified under this convict system.
Archie was one of about 500 convicts at the Pratt mines near Birmingham, nearly half the company's workforce. They were overseen by J.W. Comer, the former slaveholder, whose enterprises now included convict mining.